Hey everyone, welcome to our leader mastermind, except for today we're not really masterminding. I was talking to Christy today and did I mute you all? No, did I? You all.
I muted myself just a second ago. Sorry.
Everyone but Christy. Okay, so anyway, so Christy is my personal trainer, virtual trainer / friend / we grew up in the same neighborhood. We did gymnastics together and like went to elementary together. Anyway, so this morning I was doing yoga with Christy virtually.
Yogi. I was yogiing.
Yeah. And we were talking about coaching because that's what she does, is coaching. And she said something and I'm like, you need to talk to my team about this. This is so good. I mean, my leaders, not my team, my leaders, because she also coaches coaches. So, and that essentially is what being a leader is, right, guys, is kind of being a coach and helping them work through things and leading by example and stuff. And so we were having a conversation and Christy started talking about how sometimes we don't feel worthy to coach or lead because like maybe we're not doing it perfectly ourselves. So I'm going to let you kind of like touch on that because I was like, oh my gosh, this is so true. Like I felt this, Christy has felt this. I know you guys have probably felt what she's about to talk about. So I wanted her to share and then we might have a little bit of time to discuss. So take it away. Go.
Okay. So yeah, I have been coaching other coaches and there's been one gal that's been stuck in a pattern and we decided to talk about it together the other day and she came out with, I just don't feel worthy to be coaching the girls that I'm helping because I haven't been doing what I tell them to do. And so I've been counseling on them more. I've been just not showing up. And so immediately I kind of interrupted and I said, it's called the me, not we pattern. And so, and I've had like different coaches kind of call me on it out as well, but it's getting stuck in the me and what you're doing and worrying about you too much. And the truth is this call, me presenting right now, this isn't about me and what I've done. Yes, I've experienced it. Yes, Kelly's experienced it. But it's about it's about you guys and the experience that you're in. And it's about Kelly. And it's about your audience. And it's kind of marketing 101 as well. My husband does marketing. And if you don't understand and actually care about where your either clientele or your potential leaders, all that kind of stuff, if you don't care where they're at and you don't have to model and be them. You don't have to you don't need to reenact what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, but understand their world, understand their day-to-day, and show up not to fix them, but to believe in them and to know that they can get past that little glitch, even when you're in a glitch, even when you're so-called stuck, even when you're not doing what you're asking them to do. And this is where magic happens. It's truly magic. A lot of people call it karma because karma is giving, receiving. Karma is not just giving. Karma is also receiving. You have to do that. A plus B then equals C. So the give, the receive, then that equals the C, karma. So where a lot of people and this one specific coach was getting stuck is she was stopping in the middle of her process. Her girls are in a 12-week body transformation and she was canceling on them, or when they were doing their coaching session, she was talking all about herself and what she's doing wrong and that, like, don't take me by example. And she was talking about all the things that she wasn't doing wrong. And once again, she's thinking about herself. She's not thinking about them. And the missing link is we're worried that when we're not doing all those little things to the T that we're telling our potential leaders, our potential coaches, or even customers, when we're not doing that and we're not on point, we feel like we're not worthy to show up. Now, when you guys all we're attracted to Kelly or attracted to another leader in this organization, truth bomb, you're not looking to see if Kelly's doing her checklist every day. She's there for you, or who, another leader on this call. We live a life selfishly because we got to get through our 24-hour day. We've got to get through it and hopefully feel better the next day, And so the goal is whoever we're listening to, we don't really care what they're doing. We just need that guidance. And the magic comes when you take yourself out of that guilt and shame. And if you guys study Brene Brown and just that personal shame, all of that, if you get yourself out of that, you will see yourself improve. So, because sometimes we get nervous of, oh, if I'm not doing it and I'm just coaching, then I'm putting in this whole, like, my cup is empty, blah, blah, blah. Like, remove the cup, remove the emptiness, and just know that when you give and you show up for them and help them, there is magic in that. And by default, you will show up that much better the next day. It may not be that perfect checklist the next day, but it will be better from the day before. And seeing the compound effect of believing in we versus over fixating on me is the best recipe ever. Okay, but Kelly, it's so interesting. I just talked to a potential client right before this call. So it's kind of like good news that you were a little behind, because I was wrapping it up with her. She's a potential client and she's like, well, that's what I do. I just help people all day, all day, all day, all day. And I never take time for myself. So there's still me in the we. So there's still, but that's the magic, is trusting that process. If I understand their world, I understand that it will be your circle of influence and it will sprinkle goodness into your world. So I don't know if
that. And one thing Christy shared was, she was like, because do you mind sharing? So Christy just moved. This is so crazy, you guys. Like, Christy and I were meant to work together because we hadn't even connected in years. And then I found her on Facebook and contacted her. And then so she was my virtual coach. She was living in Idaho. I'm here in Southern California. And then they happened to move literally to my town, San Marcos.
Yeah.
And
I was like, oh, wait, where do you live? We're going to move there. And she's like, what? I live in San Marcos.
Shut up. I'm like, wait, we can work out in person, although we can't now, but but I was like, this is crazy. So anyway, so I feel like it's meant to be that we hang out. And but anyway, so when you moved here, can you kind of tell them how you kind of, got in a funk yourself, but then what you said, and then I'll kind of chime in with what you said this morning.
Okay. So, moving can definitely throw off your rhythm. So, and I've moved multiple times as a health coach. So, and I've gotten out of my eating rhythm and all that kind of stuff. And I've done the whole, I'll cancel on clients because I don't feel worthy enough. And all I did was just create a double negative, because not only did I now not improve, but my clients didn't, because they felt like I ditched them, or they just felt like there was that loss of connection. But moving here, Kelly's influential. So I could have easily, and I knew what I was going into. I was like, okay, Kelly lives there. I could easily go into the story, she has her social media all put together. Oh, you can't hear? She can't hear. Someone can't hear. And we've got to make sure we hear.
Can everybody else hear? Maybe it's just Kristen. Becky can't hear. Can you guys hear? Okay, 2 people can hear you.
I can hear. That's a 3.
Okay. It might just be her connection.
Okay. We're good. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
we got more hearers.
Okay.
Okay. So when I moved here, I knew what I was getting into, and I know my old patterns. And I think knowing your patterns are important. And then because moving, you can really reassess, okay, what are my patterns going to be? And so I said, okay, I could easily fall into a pattern where I could compare myself and maybe I'm not up to par with my business or something like that. I'm literally making it up, but at the same time, I'm very aware that it can happen. So I got out of like rhythm with my eating. I was eating later at night. Kelly was showing up here to work out, and I could have easily canceled on her because I didn't feel worthy. I could have easily, but that is just so getting stuck in it. I said it to Kelly this morning, getting your head out of your butthole, and stop thinking about yourself. But just because I didn't eat good last night does not mean I'm not worthy to train Kelly the next morning. Nope. No, 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 no. And I'll tell you this, the days that I trained her, those are the days I ate better. But I had to fight that. I had to fight that self. It's that really is selfishness, and we're not allowing ourselves to see the big picture in our whole life. So I got out of rhythm, and I could have easily been like, no, Kelly, I need to get settled, and then I will train you because I need to get my life settled since we just moved. No, we moved into a 3-bedroom like townhome simple. There's nothing to get settled. Like it's not big. Like like so and her showing up, I just was when you fight those awkward emotions and you don't feel as good about yourself, when you fight those and you show up for those, man, those are like the turnaround time. That's when a miracle happens and you literally improve your life. Like whatever I could have delayed us and our relationship for 6 months. For 6 months. And why? And why? And what did it do? I've gotten back into better eating patterns. I've gotten back into better, all that kind of stuff. So
It
it's
like
fighting that.
you
Yeah.
too. Like
What?
it blesses me. It blesses the person that you're giving to, but it also like helps you. I mean, even these calls sometimes, like I get on, I'm like, I learned so much. Like I probably learned so much more from you guys than you learned from me because, you know, and it's like, it goes back to that, the Go Giver book. If you guys haven't read it yet, I
I
talk
love that
about it
book.
all the freaking time because it's mine. It's like, it's just about constantly giving and adding value. And when you step outside of yourself to give to someone else, that's when it helps you too. Like it helps you get out of your butt. Like Chrissy says, pull your head out of
The
your butt.
whole, the whole. Just joking. Well, not
And
just the butt, the butthole.
Yeah, I was gonna correct you on that. Definitely butthole. That's what she said.
Right? Because you get stuck.
yeah, we get stuck sometimes, but like, yes, it just helps. It helps you like get out of your own funks when you're helping others. It has like this magical effect. So I was just like, oh my gosh, like I like just hearing it from a different perspective of she was talking about it, regarding one of the coaches she was coaching, but I'm like, this can so be applied to leadership. And so I asked her to hop on. So does anyone have any thoughts or stories of how this has, how like serving their team or serving their customers has like helped them get out of a funk or get unstuck? Let's open it up for discussion.
I think sometimes when we step forward and we decide to be the cheerleader for someone else, even if we're not on track, there's something awesome that happens because it gets them charged up. And I don't know about you guys, but when I have someone in my team that's charged up, it totally feeds right back at me. So it's almost like getting out of my own way. I get them charged up and I know that that good's going to come back at me too.
So true. I love that you shared that. Cause yeah, like it's like anytime you get new blood, this is why it's important to recruit. Because when you get like the new blood in like these new stylists that are so fired up and they're like, oh my gosh, like what do I do next? And you're like, and you're sharing some of those basic things that we so easily forget. You're like, oh yeah, I need to continue doing those basic things too. Like it's contagious. Anyone else?
Oh, Kelly, can I actually share something? Because it might like pull something like what we're sharing here. Is
Yeah.
I almost didn't start my company because I didn't feel adequate. And that was, so I had one company that had a certain look and a certain, you do this, 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 and this, and in fitness. Okay. And then I shifted to my other company, which is Shift. It's called shiftmybody.com. And so but I was still in, you guys, I've told this to Kelly multiple times. I had eating disorders. I had binging. I had all this. And I was still in the middle of my healing. And I was, kind of kicked in the butt from my husband saying, "Are you serious? So you go about helping women only conditionally." So this is conditional. It's not an unconditional service. It's upon condition. So the only time you help people is if this condition is in place. And that really was like, oh.
Right. Is when you are perfectly have it all together. But it's like, we never have it all together. Never.
So I jumped in and it healed my eating disorder. It healed all the stories and the other struggles. And it just, it was therapy and just that women empowerment connection. It was the piece that I needed to heal up binging, purging, the stuff that sounds like, ew, yuck, oh, that's so sad, but it's so real. It's so real. I'm never going to hide that. So anyway, I almost didn't start that company, but it literally healed me.
I love that. Well, I totally believe that you can heal others while you're still healing. And you can
So powerful.
help others on their journey while you're still on your journey. Cause it's always a journey. Like we're never there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I apologize because you were bringing that up but I thought I would add
No,
that.
yeah, that's so powerful. I'm glad you mentioned that. And any other thoughts? Be brave. I know you have thoughts. I know you have stories.
I'll talk.
What about, oh yeah, go.
So I've just been thinking as I'm listening, and I'm still in my workout clothes and I have bad backlight, so had my video off, but I think everyone is in kind of weird times right now. And so people are desperate for little bits of inspiration. And I get in my own head all the time and I stop myself from doing things because I'm like you said, I don't feel worthy. Like I haven't done this today, or if I'm not doing all the things, then I'm not qualified to lead. And I hurt myself by doing that, because then I end up spending more time worrying about what I'm not doing instead of just doing it. And that's kind of a perpetual issue that I'm always working on doing better. But I've kind of taken my life and broken it down into like aspects. Like these are the things I do. I'm a stylist. I'm someone who works out. I'm a mom, and I'm a wife. And I'm like, okay, I just need to do one thing in each of these areas. I need to show up with just one thing in each of these areas every day, and then I can feel like I've been successful. So even when it comes to working out, and Christy might be like, oh, Erin, but if I get 5 minutes of a workout in, I consider it a success for the day. And I say that because I'm a Peloton.
She is not going to roll her eyes at that, Erin.
No, I believe in the compound effect. That right. The compound effect wins all the time in weight loss. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I'm not losing any weight because I'm eating my way through this quarantine, but I'm still getting on my bike and I'm still doing some type of exercise every single day. But I just decided a few weeks ago, I was like feeling super bad for myself. And I was like, if I can't do at least 30 minutes on my Peloton every day, then it's not worth it. And I was like, Erin, you're being ridiculous. At least if you get your butt on the bike. So I'm 22 days without missing a single workout. I've even been doing Sundays, but I've been doing like soft things like stretching and different things, because Peloton, anyone that has ever done it, they have all kinds of options. But I'm like, okay, so now I've got that figured out. And I've just had to say I have to start small, because we're all in I'm freaking homeschooling 5 children. I mean, somebody, and I have a master's degree in education, and I did not sign up for this, but I signed up for children, and I've been thrown into a situation that I don't get to have control over, right? And so I need to control the aspects that I can have control over. And like I said, if I make sure I work out for at least 5 minutes a day, I've done something. If I make sure I at least, pay one compliment to my husband as a wife, I've done something. As long as I give my kids 10 minutes, we get in the car and we go for a drive, so I'm just trying to remember that, like, if we can just make sure that we're showing up in all of the broad aspects of our life at least once a day, then we're doing better than we're giving ourselves credit for. And as a leader in this industry, I've been really stressed because I want to be that inspiration for my team, but I have to realize that people are looking for inspiration everywhere, and it's okay if I'm not that inspiration every day, but if I don't show up, then I can't be. So I at least need to make some type of effort to show up for my team every single day. So if
Yeah,
that
That's a good,
preach.
that's a good question too. If you were to have a coach, would you rather have her inspire you or just show up and know that even if you guys didn't have a big conversation, you just kind of know she's just right there for you. Just that feeling of like she believes in you.
Yeah.
You know?
Show up and support. I love that it's just small. You're talking about start sloppy and start small, like just the little things. And Laura shared a link.
I actually
Drops
wanted to talk
awesome.
about it for just a second, if there's a minute.
What?
Is there a minute that I can like talk about it for a second?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so this article, I came across this article probably 8-10 years ago. I don't know, I was a young mom. Now I'm an old mom, not really, but anyway, it was just a blog post, but it's called Drops of Awesome, and it's really long, but it's worth the read. I read it every few years. Holy crap, what is happening? I think someone's dying out there. Nope, don't open that door. Okay, so it's this mom, she talks about how this one day she walked with her kid to the bus stop, not something she usually does, and she started having this like proud of myself thoughts, like, oh, that was really awesome, and then immediately she started talking herself out of being proud of herself and talking like, well, yeah, you did it once, but what about all those other days that you totally failed them and didn't even feed them and blah, blah, blah. So it goes on to say that if we consider every good thing we do as a drop of awesome, it doesn't matter how much we don't do those things, it doesn't take away from what we have done. And so she says, there was one little thing I was gonna read. It says, when I started thinking about my life in terms of adding drops of awesome for every tiny act of good, I found that I was doing more and more of them because it's a lot more fun to do good when you're rewarded with joy rather than being guilted about every failure in the past. And I loved that. And every time I get my mind back to that mindset, I do so much more. I take action so much more often, because I'm not constantly comparing myself to myself even, because, you know, we all have tons of ups and downs, seasons where we're barely getting by and dropping the ball, and then seasons where we're doing a little bit better. And I love, she also says, I had realized something important. If I was spending time with my kids, and listening to them in the moment, I was a good listener. Like defining herself, like, this is something I'm a good listener. Just because of that one moment, I was a good listener. If I am someone who is engaged in prayer, I am someone who engages in prayer. Like, not just, oh, well, you did it this one time, whoop-de-doo, good for you, but actually defining yourself by those good things you do. Anyway, I put the link, but it is such a good read, and I have to read it every so often to remind myself to be nice to myself.
Totally. I know, because I think that we so easily look at how far we have to go instead of how far we have come. Like, so I love that this is focused on like those little drops of awesome. I'm gonna have to read it. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, that sounds good. Being motivated by pleasure or pain, because a lot of people are motivated by it's like, you know, are you motivated by fear or what you can create type of a thing. I also think too, with females, like my mom, actually, I'll just be nice and clear. Like the first thing it's always, well, what I worry about with you, Christy. And it's so like, and I love her so much, and I've been so clear about her about this, but it's so unattractive. Like, it's not appealing, and it's not like to always be worried of what we're not. And so I think, you know, like having children, confident children are the ones that are not over analyzing themselves, I say it on the pitching mound because my son is a pitcher, and that's one of those situations where you are looked at and you're watched, and it's, oh, he, you know, you can flip from being a good baseball player into, but it's, so just being your best friend through pain and through not feeling your best, and being your number one cheerleader, that's a very hard thing, but it's very attractive to other females to be forgiving of yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
And
so as you're attracting other females into your world. So.
yeah. And I love that you mentioned about like even our kids, like it's, and our teams, like, cause I think kids and teams, like it all feels very similar. Where if we focus on their flaws, you know, and instead of like the good that we see, just like with ourselves, like we're only focusing on the bad things about ourselves, and that's all we see. And same with our teams. If we're only like, oh, my team doesn't do this, they don't do that, or, you know, this person, like this stylist on my team doesn't do this, they don't do that. Instead, saying like, oh my gosh, like, this is something I'm trying so hard to do, and it does not come naturally with my children, but trying to be like, hey, good job on blah, 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 and like keep my mouth shut on the things that I don't love, you know? And it's like, that applies.
Because they already know that. My
Yes.
husband was talking to me about this. Because I was pointing something out. This is one of our intense fights, okay? And he was like, you think I don't know that? You think I don't know that I haven't been doing that? And yeah, I act oblivious to it because it's so painful that we don't need to overpoint what people aren't not doing. They already know, even if they're little, tiny little kiddos. They freaking know. They already know because they live in a world that tells them that in 2 seconds.
Love that. Okay. Any other thoughts before we wrap it up? Is anyone else itching to speak or share? It's so fun.
For questions?
All your faces. Any questions that you want to ask the group or ask Christy? Okay, well, we're gonna wrap it up then. But this was just a great discussion. Thanks for hopping on, Christy. This was very last minute. I was like, can you get on like in 2 hours?
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing, because I feel like this is something, you know, we all need to work on, and just like giving ourselves grace and starting small, starting sloppy, and like recognizing the drops of awesome that we do, and not feeling like we have to be perfect to show up for our teams.
Okay.
So I'm glad this helped, and thanks everyone for hopping on, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Well, a little bit earlier because hopefully we won't be running right behind. Bye guys.